It's good to be
dead. Whoops, I added that on upside down. I got to do it right. Bring me your dead. Okay.
Cara's
add a
come
little
say hello,
Monty
by the way.
Python to it. I mean, this is something I've been thinking about for quite a while. It's called Thinkers, Tinkers, and Stinkers. And the idea behind Thinkers, Tinkers, and Stinkers is, sorry about that, my earphone fell out while I pulled my mask off. The idea behind Thinkers, Tinkers, and Stinkers is a little bit of provocation. Looking for people who present dialogues and events where provocative imaginers, creative builders, and general troublemakers who help create events of moments of beneficial insurrection, you know, what John Lewis called good trouble. I can come together and kind of a combination of present what they do as well as dialogue about it with other people. So this is the Tinkers session. And so Diana, Dingles-Greenfield, and Jim Hogue, they're Moon Bunny with the white hat, and Matt the Pirate, Matt Bender, are going to be doing their thing. Diana has we could almost call it a semi-official title of the Goth Fairy Vicar of Glastonbury. So Diana's coming to us from Glastonbury, England, and Jim, Moon Bunny, is you've been a part of. It was 2012. You came and joined us for the Theophany art project, yep, right? At Burning Man, and now you're embedded into the Playa Info, and yep, been a part of that for a while. All right. How long you been there with Playa Info?
It's been, well, this would be the 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, fifth. This one in the 6th year.
Okay.
I'm still active with Playa Info, so it is
right. Even now, through this time that we've got coronavirus virtual Burning Man, you guys are doing stuff, aren't you?
Yeah, actually, a lot of people are on shift right now, and I can hear them beeping from Discourse.
Okay.
System.
Sweet. And Matt the Pirate there.
Hi.
Yeah, we go back to when was it in Salem? Initially met.
It's been a while. It's
been a long while. So
quick question. Can you guys hear the hammering next door? Is that going to interrupt?
I don't hear it. No.
Okay.
We're good. So Matt was part of all the Halloweens. We had a stage in Salem and did a bunch of crazy stuff there, and joined us for. You were there for both the Pillars of the Saints and the Theophany project, right, Matt?
I was.
Yeah. So so he's gonna give us a little how to be a pirate and survive the desert at the same time.
Fire mate, don't forget your scarf.
That's right. So we're gonna start off with Diana as our first tinker, and with the thinkers, tinkers, and stinkers, I could include Diana in any of those categories.
Thank you.
Yeah, she's a provocative thinker. She's a creator of stuff, and she creates moments where people gather together and help cause good trouble. I mean, you do all of it. So,
Okay.
So Goth Fairy Vicar of Glastonbury, take us away.
Okay, so I really didn't know quite how to do this, and I hope you can see. I'm working out it's the best way to see that you can see and hear me, but I said that I would do a dress like a Goth Fairy Vicar, and there's a few things I want to get out of the way first. I wasn't going to do any makeup because I don't want it to be one of those weird makeup kind of YouTube video things that's just really freaky, so I was not going there. And the second thing was I wanted to start from a base that was a bit decent, so it's all black leggings, black everything. Okay, so just to start out there. I have spent my entire life, well, no, from the age of about 16, when my parents stopped interfering with what I decided I would wear, I've worn nothing but black. And I think I can safely say that I was a goth first before I was any of the other things in that list. And I've strayed into colour over the years, but I come back safely to goth every single time. I grew up in a town where there was a really great goth community, and it was really cool to be a part of that. So that's the goth thing. So all of my wardrobe is black, and I think it's Douglas Coupland's book Generation X that talks about the black hole being the people who literally only have black in their wardrobe. And when I saw that, I really identified with that. But then over the years, particularly since I've been in and around Glastonbury, firstly, I'm quite unusual as a goth in Glastonbury because it's quite a hippie town. So we have a lot of rainbows, and people see me walking down the street as a goth. There's a few more goths now, but they see me walking down the street and they find it really odd. And then I got involved in a fairy festival, but I couldn't do fairy without keeping it goth. So I thought I would do some dressing up for you. So I have my dressing up rail. Can you still hear me? I have my dressing up rail. My slightly provocative side of my goth is that I really like, so this is my tutu. Ta-da! I really like the Lolita style goth, and Lolita style goth is it is very provocative because the story of Lolita is of a little girl who was really kind of groomed by a man, and yet she dresses as a very little girl with pigtails. I haven't got round to plaiting my hair, it's a bit too long to do while I'm talking to you, but the story of Lolita is a little girl that's groomed by a man, so there's some real provocative kind of stuff going on there. And then I thought about dresses, and this had to be one that was going to be easy to put on. This has got a little hint of purple in. I don't know if you can see because it's dark here, so I've had to put the lights on. And I also thought it would be quite easy to put on. But so this is just going over my head. I told you I would dress as I go, Phil. But this is, I've got quite a few, not as many as some of them, but it's got quite a few buckles, and I've got to work out how to get it on right now. Buckles and hooks and bits and bobs and laces. If I was not trying to do this in front of a potential audience, I probably would have had a corset on as well, but I have to go and drag my husband to do those up because I can't do my corsets up on my own. Well, not tight enough anyway. So this is kind of a next best option. So yes, my pretty fairy dress, but then because it's fairy, so it's got a little bit of purple, but because it's fairy as well as goth, I tried to make it a little bit more, it's not twee because fairies aren't twee. A lot of fairies are they're pagan. Fairies are quite naughty creatures really. So, you have to be a bit aware of what that's all about. But just to kind of add a little bit of extra flair, as well as the tutu and the dress, I have a bustle. So we're getting there. I might have to put my screen down in a minute so you can see the bottom half, because this is the bottom half at the minute. All of this is just kind of like bringing together a little bit of an outfit to fit in really, but because I'm also a goth as well as a fairy, I'm just going to drop that down so you can see the bustle there, look. To fit in with the fairy scene, but also to retain the goth part of who I am and the identity that often is seen as really dark. Goth is misunderstood all the time as being, you wear black, you're black, you must worship the devil. One of my friends' sons is absolutely convinced that that's what I do. And this is my jacket. This is one of my favourite jackets with lots of extra chains. It's all embellished and beads. I'm going to be so hot wearing this all in the house. Thank you, Matt. All the beads and the extra chains. And so this one's been pimped, and that's always a really good thing to do. So we've got goth going on now. I think that's probably fairly safe to say. Very, very important for any goth A choice of 2 new rocks. You cannot go out as a goth without new rocks. These are my posh going out ones, but I can't walk in them for very far. I love them. These are the everyday, every single festival I ever go to, I absolutely live in them. They are so comfortable and I really recommend them.
Matt's really happy about that.
In my early days of goth, I used to wear a lot of very pointy winkle pickers with very high stilettos, which was great, but you cannot wear those at festivals. So I've got a few other things to add. This is where we go fairy. My wings. My fairy wings, I had them specially made. The lady that made them is a lady called Bubbles, and she she was a little bit taken aback when I told her that I wanted purple and black wings, but they really rather do go with the rest of the outfit. Not very attractive trying to get them on, I can tell you. But that's my fairy wings. So there we go. Phil said there was another thing that I had to add. Well, one more thing I want to put on. I waved these around before. My friend Emma from the Hemner and the Hat Lady makes the most incredible headdresses. I do have the top hat that I sometimes wear, or about 3 top hats actually. But this one I love. It is my horns. Okay, so where have we got to? One more thing Phil said I had to do. I introduce you to my dragon. Ooh. And this is Duraka. In fact, I'm going to put him on in a sec because it's easier to do when I'm sitting down. No, I'm not. I'm going to do it now. So my dragon sits on my shoulder. I didn't bring this one to Salem, did I? No,
I don't think you did, no.
I should have brought him to Salem, but I walk around with my dragon on my shoulder, and I'm going to put him on properly because he's not properly on yet, but I'll do that in a minute. But I walk around with my dragon on my shoulder. He's called Duraka, and he is, the reason for that name is the Dru for dragon, but the Ruach comes from the words, the Ruach from the words of the spirit. So I'm going to sit down now. I haven't put my boots on because that'll take me too long. But there's one more thing I have to add. There's one more thing I have to add, because all of that kind of totally makes sense. You can be a goth, you can be a fairy, but actually this, I don't know, in the States, do pastors and ministers wear these at all? I'm not even sure.
Anglican, Catholic, yes.
Some do, if you're
sometimes
Catholic.
Methodist, Lutheran will.
There's a
Pentecostals.
Okay. There is a Church of England vicar. I do apologise about the dog. She's decided to chase her tail right by my feet. Cara, stop it. She's so as a Church of England vicar, I wear this an awful lot. It identifies me, and it is very much. It is who I am. I'm a minister. I'm a priest in the Church of England, and they do all go together. Although I think, as Phil says, it is just a little bit provocative that I may actually be walking down the street or holding a ceremony or something like that with all these different things on, because people are confused. But it is me, and it's been me for a long time, and I'm really happy with that and really comfortable with it, but I know that I confuse people. So yeah, that's me dressing as a fairy vicar, a fairy goth vicar.
Oh my gosh, you're so much like me. You would get along with me and my wife. That's awesome.
My husband's really normal.
Yeah, my wife is really normal.
I do see your dragon's a little reddish. Is he Welsh?
No, he's actually purple. He is purple. Well, he's purple and black. Yeah, he's very. I think it's just because I've had to put the lights on. If I take my wings off, I'll put him on my shoulder properly, and then he'll just sit there and mind his own business.
Yeah, well, you need to show us how he works.
I will. I need to take my wings off. I'm a little.
I bet he works how wingless works.
Sorry?
I bet he works how wingless works.
He may do. I don't know. He's been made by a friend. I brought, when I came to Salem, I brought a little one that I just hold in my hand. Right, come on,
It
Dracula.
figures you'd both have dragons.
Of course. Oh, yes. Oh, look, I just heard my husband's voice peering in through the window, through the door. Right, okay, you're going to sit there and behave? Are you comfortable?
Probably better than Ember will.
Sorry?
Probably better than Ember. That's Ember that you saw on my shoulder.
Oh, okay. He
Ember's
doesn't
a
wanna-
jumper.
Right, is he? He's a jumper. Right, here we go. There we go. Are you ready now? Yes, yes,
Oh my
okay.
gosh,
Right,
yeah.
he's ready to join in.
What is your dragon's name?
Draka.
Oh, that's awesome.
Very comfortable. So yeah, from the Hebrew word for the Holy Spirit mixed with the word dragon. And he was made by a friend of mine who the first time I ever took him out, he sat on my shoulder for a baptism for an infant in a church.
Okay.
So yeah.
So
I don't know what to say now.
well, I'm going to ask you something, and anybody who wants to jump in with a question or a thought, but so you and I, when we first talked about this, you made the comment that, well, I don't know if I have anything provocative or challenging for people, and I commented, well, it doesn't seem like it to you because you just live like this, but everywhere you go, people are wondering how can you be a vicar, or or they're just surprised that you are, oftentimes pleasantly. Both the circles you and I walk in, it's just kind of like that, right? You're a vicar? Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But there's kind of there's a positive side to it in terms of subculture, but and identifying with it, but there's kind of a downside to it sometimes, isn't there?
I've got some friends that I've been very fortunate, but I've got some friends that have been through some really, really hard times where they've been totally misunderstood because they dress in this way. They don't, they engage with a pagan world all of the time, and people just don't get it, and they've been so hurt. I think I'm quite supported at the moment by my bishops and the senior staff in our kind of region, which helps me a lot. And I think also because actually I'm doing a degree of academic study on the whole area of kind of Christians and pagans specifically working together. I think I've kind of been treated a little bit more graciously, but I'm often not understood, and so, for example, I'll do things like, I don't do it so much now, but I used to do something called Jesus deck readings, and I would rock up at like festivals or like mind, body, spirit events in Glastonbury and read the Jesus deck or do dream interpretations, and I would have evangelical people just looking at me like, you must be of the devil. It's like, it's sending you, is that not like tarot, or and not understanding that actually it's just a different way of engaging with how the spirit speaks to us. So right. On the positive,
you do have horns like the devil. I mean,
yeah, but actually they're not, because the devil doesn't really have horns. That's just like a Victorian interpretation. It's just such a mistake to associate the devil with a being that wears, that has horns. And so I think in a sense it's about reclaiming some of the things that are misunderstood and misrepresented.
Awesome. I see that Dot Gosling's watching us right
Dot.
now.
Oh, hello,
Dot. Anybody else got a question here for Diana, or a thought, or
Matt, I've decided that yes, our dragons do work in the same way. I'm just
Oh
watching
yeah,
you.
I can
Yeah,
see
they
what he's
do.
doing.
Yeah,
It's working the same way.
yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
I like
Okay,
better.
so now, right now, some of the stuff that you're doing, or as both of us have experienced this year, some of the things we've missed because of all this quarantining and the dropping of festivals.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's some of the stuff you've missed this year, as well as
What have I missed?
hope to return to?
Well, the very last thing I did the weekend before they locked the UK down was the Fairy Ball in Glastonbury, which was just amazing. It was so cool to be a part of that just before they said, no, sorry, you can't go out anymore. But we would have spent 3 days at a festival in Devon, no, Cornwall. And probably running a venue for that, knowing me. So
right. I would have been there.
Yeah, you would have done. Yeah,
Yeah.
you dressed up like a gnome normally.
That's right. I don't.
My little
I just don't look like a fairy, so I got
no
dwarf or gnome or a wizard.
and so hanging out with a bunch of people who just really identify with what fairies are all about, and just want to kind of connect with what they would consider fairy energy, and so that's just a really cool place to be and to be a part of, and I'm quite well known within that group of people, so I really enjoy that. I would have come home for about 3 days and then gone to Glastonbury Festival, which is one of the biggest music festivals, music and arts festivals in the UK.
That's just around the corner from where you live, right?
Yeah,
down in Glastonbury and the festival aren't the same thing, but
no, but they're both equally cool in their own right. So
absolutely, yeah.
And then just before the Fairy Festival this year, I was due to take part in Burning Nest with Pappy Fisher and a few others, which was that's a kind of offshoot of Burning Man in the UK, and I was quite looking forward to kind of experiencing that. So
yeah, Burning Nest is I don't know if it's an official regional event, but it's down in Devon. Was in Cornwall one year, moved to Devon.
No, it's
but pretty close to where, the Plymouth area, where just across the water where the Fairy Festival is. Yeah,
but actually, I mean, a lot of the regular stuff that happens in Glastonbury, just kind of being in the town, has just not happened this year. So that's been, I drum with a drum troupe that goes out and kind of drums for events and all those kind of things. We haven't had any of that kind of stuff this year, which has been really strange and difficult. And obviously I would have, it's quite likely that we would have spent another week in Salem in October.
Which I know.
Probably won't be doing.
I just got the official news. Here I'm in California, but I would have been in Salem for October to run the stage again, and help put together some of the things we do. But I just got the official news they're not going to do any of those open air public type things that done. I don't know how they'll stop all the visitors from showing up to Salem for Halloween, but they just show up anyway. But the events will not be put on. So all the things we do, it seems like life is shut down a lot. Huh?
But I think I've stayed in touch with an awful lot of people online, and that's been really cool. I've got very used to Zoom, running Zoom church and all that kind of stuff. And I think there's just different opportunities been around. So yeah.
And so Ren, how are you handling not having Burning Man to go to?
Trying to be creative within the small space of my home rather than the bigger canvas of the playa, I guess.
Where is home for you?
I'm in North Lake Tahoe.
Okay.
So
nice. What a nice area.
The playa is my regional burn. And one of the things I was thinking to Diana's talk was, on playa, we can just be without having to explain and educate, and just, when you're so visible Diana, out in the world? Do you get weary? Do you have a sort of go-to when you just don't have the energy to sort of tell your story and educate people, when you just want to be without
I
having to
didn't.
explain?
Yeah, I didn't for a really long time. And then I found there's a festival, an event in the north of England called Whitby Goth Festival, or with Whitby Goth Weekend. And I went a few years ago. And to be honest, I felt like I'd come home, because I was just literally hanging out. I mean, I wasn't like, I wasn't wearing my dog collar. I was on holiday, but I was hanging out, because even just being a goth in a hippie town requires some explaining. But I think I don't mind explaining who I am. I love surprising people. You know, if I don't wear my dog collar and they say like, "Well, what do you do?" and I'm like, "Guess." I love it when they're like, "No way."
Yeah.
And then I did, when I first started, because I've been wearing this like 10 years now, and when I first started wearing it, I would walk down the high street and people were like, "Are you really a vicar? Are you really a vicar?" And I'd be like, "No, it's fancy dress." And they'd be like, "Oh, right, okay, fair enough," and carry on walking. And I'd have to go running after them and say, "No, I was kidding." So I've had to learn not to do that.
Oh, that's
But
awesome.
I think the explaining is a good thing, because I think, you know, I mean, Phil said, you know, we kind of live it. I think over the last 6 months, I really haven't. I was going through my wardrobe thinking, well, I haven't worn that this year, and I haven't worn that this year. And, you know, because we've been at home, it's been jeans and t-shirts, a lot of the time. But I think the kind of explaining is a good thing, because I don't mind doing it. I quite enjoy it, really, because I think deep down I quite enjoy challenging people.
So Diana's the one among us who hasn't been to Burning Man or any of the regional burns yet.
No.
But I mean, you just kind of live a
It's not
burner
my
life
to-do
anyway. Yeah. And you know, so there's a statement that some statements at Burning Man that people will make. They'll talk about going back to default world. You know, that you have your Burning Man life, which feels like a real thing for me, and then I go back to a default world where I have to like put on a face or something. And you know, there's certain people who, as burners, they just really don't have a default world, because they live as they burn, you know. And so I never, when people talked about default world, I was one of the people who was like, I don't know, Burning Man feels like home because I just live that way. You know, I mean, I'd dress up as much as other people, but I just behave in such a way. I'm always creating little trouble wherever I go. And, you know, and you're the same way, Diana, being in it or out of it. You know, your default, you don't have, your default world is to be like this. And that's something I think we can, like, everybody who is looking for authenticity needs to learn from. You know, do what you are and what you love. And
yeah, it's taken, I think it's taken me a long time to get to that point though. Like, even when I had my interview for the job that I do now, I dressed down. You know, I kind of, it wasn't default world, but it was kind of like I dyed the purple out of my hair, and I wore really sensible clothes, and you know,
You wore your normal person costume.
It kind of was. I don't think I would do that anymore. I actually don't think I would do that anymore. But it, you know, that was 10 years ago, and you know, I think I've learned a lot, and you know, I think I've got more courage to be who I am, and to be able to bring those different strands of me together in a way that I feel comfortable.
So awesome.
You'll also be willing to bet more people know who you are, and so they don't question it as heavily as they would have in the beginning. I know what that's like. You and I have a very similar story, if you were to ask Phil.
Absolutely. Yeah. And And it does make you something recognizable in a town like you live in. You know, Glastonbury is a fairly small place. Salem is similar. It's probably 4 times larger than Glastonbury, but the downtown area is a real community of which everybody knows everybody else. And so those who are a little provocative and stand out, you walk down the street and everybody says hi and knows you by name, and you're part of the creativity of that town. And you would be missed dramatically. Where's our Goth Vicar? I don't know. I haven't seen her for months. Right? You know that would happen. And if I go downtown with you in Glastonbury, everybody wants to talk to you, and so that authenticity makes us stand out and helps change the community. So we're gonna have trends. Go ahead, say something.
No, I just said I hope that's the case.
Well, that's the evidence I have from the people I've talked to who were there. I mean, they just love you to pieces, and I've run into people from Glastonbury, in other places I was in the UK, and they know you.
That's a little bit scary.
You mean the Goth Vicar? Oh, she's great. So okay, so we're going to transition to Moon Bunny now. So it's obvious which one is Moon Bunny.
Yeah, I've bunnied up since we connected. So.
Oh, by the way, Dot made a comment about you dying out the purple. She says no.
I was thinking no.
Never again. I just put it back today, actually.
Awesome. So Moon Bunny here. We met pretty far back too, and it was in Salem. You weren't living there, but we did.
We met at Gordon Conwell.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. You went. Did you go? You went to the. Yes, you went to the
NT Wright.
I still have a recording of that on John.
Okay. Yeah. And then we just became fast friends, and he's a little nutty, and that's part of the reason why. Jim also he is an automator, and he was automating the pumps at Fukushima. Was it reactor 1 that
reactors 1, 3, and 4 had exploded.
Right.
The pump system for the cesium removal system was located in a machine shop next to reactor 4.
So you were there pretty much right after that happened to.
Well, it happened in we got there in June, and it happened in March.
Right. And you were pumping in water to keep those reactors from just going sky high, right?
Yeah, and all the water's being pumped in was heavily contaminated by the fuel, so we put in a system called cesium out of the water, so it doesn't get the environment. Right.
So then Jim joined me for the art project we built called Theophany. It was a 4-station interactive optical theremin in the middle of a tent. So you'd be playing the music by just moving your hands or bowing to the positions of these sensors and changing a tune and trying to in a sense make it play along with chants or sometimes some dance music that was going on in the tent. That was fun, and Jim was automating the lights, but he's going to talk to us about his tiny trailer and getting it ready for something like Playa. And I think this is good stuff for living undercover in a way too. There's a lot of people moving into small trailers, trucks, vans. Van life is now a thing. Van dweller is officially a word in the dictionary now. So show us tiny trailer, Jim. Go for it.
Well, this 8 by 5 foot trailer was actually home to a homeless person in my town of Ramona, and I saw a for sale sign on it, and I talked to him, and he said, "Yeah, I want to get a bigger trailer." And he did. He got a 6 by 10, which is a lot easier to. And he pulled it with his little Tacoma, and I had a little Tacoma, and so I bought it from him, and Then I put windows and I'm actually in it now. This is the trailer. In fact, what I'd like to do is flip my camera and take you on a tour. So if you want to double tap your screen, you'll get a large screen. I'll flip the camera and I'll double tap my screen so it looks like what you're going to see. And I'm going to go out the door. So to give you an idea of the size of the trailer, this is it. Somebody's backing up. It's not here. There's my my running logo. This is my Moon Bunny logo. Cigar smoke rabbit with playa goggles on. And you can see inside there's the kitchen counter. This trailer had a door on it with an actual lock set. I've since replaced it, but it's the same thing. It's a little deadbolt and a latch. Other doors on the sides of these trailers will have latches like this, which are bars. And what you do if you get one of these is remove that and put on the entry for the door. Now, this is a very small trailer, and it's really for only one person. The only way two people could sleep in it is if you had basically nothing but a bed inside. And here's the front of it. I did rig with some Unistrut. I rigged a spare tire assembly rather than buying one. I just built one. So you can see there, I cut it and installed it. And it's a very light trailer with a very short little tongue hitch on it. And it tows very lightly. I towed it with a 4-cylinder truck with a that had just a small truck, very small 4-cylinder truck with a stick shift. And it worked fine for years. And then I bought a bigger truck because I needed it for work. But it's just a little trailer with running lights. And then here on the back, I have a bunny on the other side, but it faded. So I got to get acrylic paint and do what I did with this one. But on the back, we have the wall of illiteracy. And I'll explain that. I just had Japanese signs, so I stuck them up there. Surveillance camera, don't park here unless you have business here, and the other one, which is essentially no solicitors. And got the man symbol. I always get honks and waves as I'm hitting up to the playa from people on the freeway going up. And the great procession coming back set to Southern California with all the bikes that look like being dipped in powdered sugar. You know where they've been. But also from the back, you can open this up and access the interior. So let me show you what the whole interior looks like. Now, these trailers are usually lined in plywood and then bolted to the steel frame. Well, what I did when I first got it was I removed all the plywood, put in foam board insulation, and then put the wood back together. And I did the whole thing: the ceilings, the walls, the curved front, all of it in front of you. And is this looking vertical to you? It looks like it is. You guys see it?
Yeah, it's a vertical.
Vertical. Okay, good. I have a little fan going. That's the kitchen up there. You see behind the red stool, there's a 5-gallon cube of water and a little collapsible box, which takes the gray water. I put in a tent trailer's drain on that sink, and it goes down into the little package, which I can dump. Now, I have a fan going because it's not really hot here today. It's been brutally hot this week, but it's a lot nicer. Recently, I found a little chest of drawers on clearance at a cheap store, and I actually physically connected it to the floor and to the wall, all over in the back and inside, and then installed little pins here to keep the drawers from opening up while I'm on the road. And it works beautifully. And I can keep all the knickknacks and stuff in it. But drawers, I discovered, are much better than shelves. This used to be mostly shelves like the ones you see in front of you, closet-made shelves that are tie-wrapped down to their brackets. But it's much better to have drawers. So up the front, you'll see some boxes sitting in the gaps. I pulled the shelves out, and I'm actually adapting drawers in all of the front of this. So 3 drawers that will hold everything I need to cook with. Now, on the back, here are some of the shelves. And I have a propane stove, some adult wipes, which you always use on the playa. They're very refreshing. And if you don't, I can get shower passes, but in between the shower passes, those help. And bath and hygiene, all kinds of Castile soap I carry with me because you don't have to rinse it that much. And a little, this is a little photovoltaic array that charges 5-volt items. So there's the whole thing, but you notice it's pretty darn small. And this, up to now, has been my bed. And it's a cot that just opens up, kind of like unfolds like an umbrella and folds back up again. But the problem is when it's open, you can't close it. And when it's open, it takes up a lot of room. I'm looking for a way to develop a bed that actually twists and folds out of the way and then comes out to deploy to use and then folds out of the way during the day. And I'm getting close. Now here is a new development. This is an ACO Power Li-ion cooler, lithium ion. And what it is it's a full refrigerator and it's 12 volt. It's like the car refrigerators, only none of them have this. That's a 10-hour battery. So when the sun goes down, you can still run this thing at night. And in it, I have my celebratory adult beverage for the end of this seminar, all ready to go, cooling down. So I'm going to build a shelf and container system all around this and actually have it slide in and out. Because I not only use this for Burning Man, I also use it for work. In Los Angeles, it's very difficult to get from one place to another without running into traffic. And if you're trying to get up to a place at 8 in the morning, let's say in Monrovia, you have to leave here by 2 or 3 in the morning if you want to avoid traffic. So what I do is I go to campgrounds all over Southern California and use them as staging points. So I drop this trailer down, sleep, and then get up, shower and get ready and go. Only problem is I can't do that now because all the showers are closed because of COVID-19, all of the bathrooms in the RV parks. So I have to use that bad boy in the backyard, which is a lot bigger, a self-contained 22-foot trailer. So when COVID-19 is over, this will become a nice little work resource again. Now, at this point, I'm just going to ask, you have any questions? No questions?
I have one.
Okay.
How hard would it be to put a collapsible shelf into that? I mean, not shelf, a shower.
Well, actually, that shelf there that you're looking at is a collapsible shelf.
I meant to say shower.
Oh no, it's very hard. And you got to also consider this thing is, I can't stand up in this. The reason for this stool is so I don't have to be hunched over and hurt my back. I have 2 stools I use in this. One I cut low, and this one which rolls around. And when I'm in here, I'm either lounging or sitting on the stool and washing dishes or eating or cooking or something like that. So yeah, that's how that works.
Of course, some of us probably can stand up in that. You're
Possible.
you're taller than all of us here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a downside to that. Your backs will be more intact by you reach my age. Anyway, that's the bare setup of the unit, but there's a great deal I've been able to add to it. I didn't have electrical before, but
You do
recently I put in a nice European style RV connection, 30 amp, and I also set up just a small load center that, and I'm only using half the circuit. I can actually put 2 more circuit breakers in here and expand. So I can go to any RV park and hook up to 30 amp service. The next thing I'm also going to do is put a valve in and actually run my sink off of city water and have a drain to go back into the dump line. So I won't I do have also a chemical toilet, a cassette toilet that I can take with me, which is great for traveling because your long drives, you can stop and just jump inside the pod and do your thing and go on. Wonderful little unit, really works well.
So I do have a question for you, Jim.
Yes.
How do you keep the talcum powder out of there? That's basically what the playa dust is, right? It's as thin as talcum powder, and it's just an explosion everywhere. How do you keep the dust out?
Well, there's a couple of rules you got to follow. Number one, you during the day, close your windows. If you're close to the playa pod and you know it's not windy and not dusty, then you can open the windows. If you're not, when you go somewhere, close the vent, and close the windows. And the thing's so thoroughly insulated that it doesn't really get that hot even on the playa. And then at night, open it wide. If the wind's not blowing and the dust's not flying, you can open it wide and it'll cool down instantly. So yeah, and the only dust I generally get in there if I do that is just what's on me. And so that's most of the dust I get. I'm there 2.5 weeks, almost 3. And I have much less dust than in there than a lot of people would have in a tent or anything else.
Oh boy.
So my cleanup is not that drastic.
Yeah, my first Burning Man.
Yeah.
I have things that still have dust on them.
So do I.
Hey, well, 2011, we both made cappuccino into that shower.
That's right, man.
So I'm curious. My wife, if I was to convince her to go to Burning Man, would have to be a night person because during the day she would be seeking cooler climates. How hard would it be to install and maintain air conditioning in the hottest parts of the day?
Well, there's a couple things. For me, it'd be easy because we have power. Since we work there and spend most of our time building and volunteering, we have the advantage of commissary, and we each get some meals so we can go, so we don't have to try to cook after we've been working a 10-hour shift. We also have power. If you go to Playa Info, you'll see a whole bank of power of generators to the immediate, behind and to the right of the front of the place. And yeah, that services the Rangers. The Rangers headquarters is right behind us, and several other playa-based things, playa service things. So I have that. Now I am looking to set this up for boondocking and put solar panels up and be able to run the refrigerator all the time and all that stuff. And that's something down the road.
Right. Yeah. Have you seen the Home Depot bucket swamp cooler?
Yeah, I have.
Amazing how well that works, actually.
Well, I'm actually see that blue bucket out there in the junk pile?
Yeah.
That's the swamp cooler in construction.
Okay, yeah. So it's basically a bucket and a fan and the water and at least in a dry environment like Burning Man, swamp coolers work real well. They're not going to do well in humid environments.
No.
That's just kind of the nature of the beast and what an air conditioner is for, right? But at a really dry place that cracks the lips off your face, swamp coolers are amazing. So you can probably find that, Matt. There's people who have created little YouTube videos about how to build them, or the schematics of it you can find online. But they use a Home Depot bucket and a small fan and create a swamp cooler.
Yeah, it's you can use kind of any kind of bucket, but I do have I've got a little bilge pump I've got the misting stuff. I've got the tubing I'll be perforating to wet the mister, and yeah, and I'm looking for a fan to stick on the top of it as I. But yeah, that's a great idea. In fact, if I were to do that, it might be a good idea. I'm thinking actually of putting the smallest air conditioner you can window conditioner you could do, and actually cutting a hole in one of the back doors.
Okay.
And make a plate when I'm not using it. But yeah, if I go to a very hot part of the state in summer and I'm working a job,
Right.
I would really need an air conditioner. So, and I've got a 30 amp circuit in the Pliapod just for that reason. So the other thing I want to do is, do we have anybody here besides us? Is there anybody else?
Yeah, so Ren is here and Bliss has joined us.
Good.
I'm just sending a hi, Bliss.
What I'd like to do,
Hi, Bliss.
what I'd love to do is give you some information, and I guess it's going to be recorded and out on Facebook.
Yep.
On Facebook, I have a page that's about tiny trailers and campers, and this one is featured in it. And so it's called Tiny Trailers and Campers. It's on Facebook, a Facebook page. Go and like it, and then follow it, and also message me from there. The other thing you can do is, if you're really interested in building something and want some advice, at least I've got some tips and tricks from what I've done already and what I've learned from other people. Contact me at jim@moonbunny.me. jim@moonbunny.me. And that's a direct, personal, only friends, only for fun, and not any of my other ones, because my other ones are getting so crowded I can't even find things that have been left to me. So yeah, so jim@moonbunny.me. And you're more than welcome to give me a shout and ask a question or give me a suggestion too. Always looking for that. There's also little things like these little lamps you can get just about anywhere. They take 3 AAA batteries, and they're great for lighting where you need them, and especially lighting when you're boondocking and you're just stopping somewhere. Another thing to have at Burning Man, especially if you have a tent or anything, or if you actually have a trailer like me, get some midnight Porto shoes. And these are even good in the morning when I get up and make coffee for the camp. These cheap things you can get anywhere, and they're great for getting you to the Portos at night. Now, speaking of that, what I used to use for a bed here was a hammock. And the problem with that was that the hammock was too long for the trailer. So I always slept in kind of a U shape, and you wouldn't believe how many times you have to get up and go to the bathroom when you sleep like that. So last year I bought that cot, which goes literally the full length and about half the width of this trailer. Takes up a lot of room, but the cot, it eliminated that completely. So I still have all the big anchored things that I can use for whatever, but I'm not taking them out. I build a whole lot of stuff around them, so there they are. Actually, they'll probably be materially holding up a microwave I'm going to put in here, which I bring one when I use it at Burning Man, but I also would use it when I'm on work trips. So there's that. And the windows I bought are just normal trailer windows that are turned on their sides, so they can go in between the steel uprights. Had one put in the door here and one put in the other side. They're bigger than I should have done. I would have done smaller ones that would be going up sideways, and it would look a lot better. One thing also that's kind of nice, magnets. How many of you have seen that scene from Breaking Bad where they filled the rental truck full of electromagnets to try to pull an evidence close to one side? Remember that scene? Yeah. Well, I I've devised a way to hold up my my curtains, to pin things up, and I just keep. I just love that thing. And just everybody's dumbfounded, and the truck's actually tilted over, and everybody's just shocked. Their mouths are open. Jesse Pinkman just goes nuts. And, yeah, bitch, magnets. So yeah, bitch, magnets. This when I do work, I keep screws and things in this, and it sticks up right there. I love magnets, so I got magnets all over here. The outlet boxes are just simple kind of snap to the wall type stuff that wired up really nice and works great. Covers everything. And
I
I've
have a
got
question about a water. How do you pressurize it so the water comes out of your 5-gallon into the sink?
I'm glad you asked that because I would have forgotten to mention it. I will show you, and you will see. And here it is. Flip the camera, and I've got a marine foot pedal. And let's see if I can water this thing. Oh, tons of water in this thing. Okay. All right, this hasn't worked in about a year, so let's see. Essentially, this it goes right into the 5-gallon bucket, as you can see, and that's the waste bucket there, and it's clear, so I can see when I need to dump it. And basically, I have this is a little what it is a filter faucet for filtered water, but it's small and usable. So something's not working.
Could be your battery.
No, it's foot operated.
Foot
It's
operated.
yeah, it's oh, I know why.
And open the vent in it.
The vent is open, but I don't know. It's been sitting here for a long time, and it looks like there's no liquid in it at all.
Could also be your filters jammed. They jam when they sit for a while. We sell them.
Oh, there's no filter. It's just a filter faucet. Well,
Oh, okay.
I don't know. There it goes. Oh, okay. Hang on.
Oh, it needed to prime. Okay.
Oh, it popped out. It popped out.
That'll do it.
Oh, okay. I had a malfunction right here. How about that? Yeah.
Sorry, I asked.
Technical difficulties. Technical difficulties.
Look at this.
Tutorial on how to
Now, you know, it's kind of like a Burning Man live event at the moment. You know,
I
you're
guess
there
it
and
is.
everything's going wrong. Ah!
I know, the pod pissed itself. Ah! It was
Bill, how long do I have?
It'll be probably 5 minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll be back.
Okay.
I don't want to end on that note. That'd be really bad. So, yeah, like I said, this thing has been out of commission for a long time, so I haven't been using it. So that's probably it popped off right at the discharge.
Okay, but it's a foot pump, huh?
It's a foot pump. Normally, it works.
Nope. Thanks. That's what I needed to know because I want to build something just like that. So even if
Yeah.
it didn't work, it was helpful.
Good.
Awesome.
There's
Okay.
that little round one you saw is it's the cheaper of the two. There is another one that has a pedal, and that would have to be actually bolted down to something, but that's probably a lot better. One thing I recommend you don't use is the little ones that pump at the top of the sink.
Then you
Those
have a free hand.
well, it's like the kind you'd see in a Westphalia van. It's a little tiny pump. The hand you pump it actually right at the sink, right at faucet. And the problem with those is they fall apart pretty readily. They just got a glass marble in them, and they don't last.
Hmm.
Mm.
Okay, so
let's see.
sorry.
Go ahead.
So we've got Bliss with us here. You there, Bliss?
I am.
All right. Where are you from, Bliss?
Lake Tahoe area.
Okay. You and Ren, both from Lake Tahoe. You know each other?
Yeah.
I'm
Me
assuming.
too.
All right. Sweet. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
we're also doing this on Facebook Live at the same time, so there's people watching us from there. And in a moment here, we'll have our pirate coming up. Any other questions for Jim?
I want to know where your cushions are, Jim. Phil's seen my van. It's covered. We've got a camper van, and it's covered in blankets and cushions, and it's all purple. And it's got fairies and dragons and unicorns that all live in it, but it's covered in cushions. And you have no soft furnishings whatsoever.
Well, actually, I when the bed's out, it's got, you know, cushions and blankets and pillows and stuff like that. And what I'm hoping to do is come up with something where the bed would be contained in kind of a box where I could just fold it off, take the cover off, and there's the bed all made and ready to go. But we got almost no space in here. It's very tiny. I've often thought that if I could camp in 0G, this would work. You know, it would be easier to move around, but gravity just kind of messes all this up. So yeah, down is down, and down is where all this stuff is. So my problem has been the floor has been always covered with big boxes full of supplies and everything. Now with a chest of drawers and putting drawers in the front, it's going to consolidate that, so I'll have room to have a chair that I can fold up and open up and lounge in when it's or just have a bed that will be up only at night and then be folded away during the day, so I can have a chair and all that and to cook.
Then soft, cushy things probably work a lot better at Burning Nest in Cornwall, Devon, than they do in the dust of Burning Man. Everything that's soft and cushy, boy, is it hard to get clean, isn't it? Coming from Burning Man.
We're off on Tuesday, and we've just had the coldest end of August ever in the UK. So
wow.
Yeah, I have a lot of blankets just going in the van at the moment.
Yeah, so we're it's hot.
You need this.
Burning Man. So you don't.
It's a unicorn.
It's a unicorn.
Fan?
What?
No, does it?
Happened.
Mom just loves this. The unicorn that shoots the little rainbow ball. I always say he shoots it out the wrong end, but you know.
There you go.
Jim, what you need is kind of like a Murphy bed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where it comes down from the side.
Yeah, with the window, that makes it really difficult. And when I say it's 8 by 5, the interior is slightly less than that. I'm 6'2", so my bed would almost go all the way from the back to the kitchen. And I'm trying to come up with something narrow that will actually fold out like a Murphy bed, or kind of flip and fold like some RVs do.
Mm-hmm.
I've thought about a couple of things that you've done, and one of them was to put the bed as a shelf on the wall above the dresser that folds out on a chain, and to put the water up on a shelf so that I can use gravity to pull the water. Did you do any experiments with that?
Yeah, the problem with the gravity was trying to find a vessel that would stay in place. I actually did do that before I did the pump. No, gravity is the best way to do it, but it's so small in here, and I'm redistributing. This is a work in progress. I'm redistributing the space all over the place. I'm actually considering someday I might even sell this and buy a slightly larger unit for which would be better since I have a half-ton pickup. I can pull it. And it might be a 4-wheel instead of a 2-wheel, but it'd still be very light, very nimble. This was an opportunity that came up. I've been making it work. Sooner or later, I'll probably actually try to expand. I've been experimenting with other things. Outside, I have a very big tent trailer that has a toilet, shower, heater, and all that stuff in it. Got it real cheap. And so I'm renovating it and using that for other kinds of festivals. It was supposed to take us to Pagan Bunny Burn this year, but Pagan Bunny Burn is still pretty much up in the air whether it's going to happen or not.
Right.
The other one, the big trailer, is just for regular camping. But I found that you can do a lot with space. If this were about a foot wider and 2 or 3 feet longer, it would be, I could do a lot with it. I thought of the bed could be high and you could still access storage underneath it, that kind of stuff.
Have you considered cutting some portholes and putting some of your components as external boxes, like for example, your little cooler fridge?
External to the
interior, like outside of the trailer.
Yeah, on the side of the trailer, maybe. The thing about this also is when it first started its life, I had a chuck wagon kitchen in the back. And that was in 2015. And I had a full twin bed out here. And I could have, actually 2 people could have slept here. The problem is, if I put the bed over the dresser, it blocks the door. And getting out at night would be really hard. But I thought of doing it high, and then I could do that. The other thing is, I thought of doing a 180-degree shell that would fit in the doorway, and when I stop, I'd actually open it up and expand the trailer back 1.5 meters.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, that's kind of problematic because then when I'm underway, when I'm running, I don't have any room in this thing to store anything at that point. So it really doesn't work. Of course, I could just do half of one and just do that for the bed too. That does occur to me. But anyway, no, I'm gonna keep it as it is. It's just more nimble that way, and I can also stop at a rest stop and sleep. And I've had to do that a couple of times in this. I've got a special battery to run a CPAP that I use because of obstructive sleep apnea, and that battery is just a solar generator, and it lasts for 4 days, 4 nights of use. It's pretty nice because all CPAPs are basically 12-volt DC. And then, but the kitchen works really well. I think I'm going to build kind of a complex of structure on one side that'll contain a bed, a place for the refrigerator, a place for the little cassette toilet, and then up high probably a bed space that would fold out for the rest of the length and fold out of the way of this window because I cook under this window because the vent's right there. So cool. Yeah, it occupies my imagination all the
time. Thanks, Jim. So we're going to transition now to Salem, Oregon. Yeah, with Matt the Pirate. And as you can tell, he's already geared up. So so Matt and I met in Salem, Massachusetts. I was pastoring a church there for 17, 18 years. Yeah. And Matt was a part of all the crazy things that we did on the streets of Salem. And obviously one of the characters of the town, in a town that's already full of characters, Matt stood out.
Yeah, I understand people.
So yeah, a lot of people know Matt the Pirate, and so he is. He's gonna. This guy's got more. I have put the line out there. He's got more tricks up his sleeve than Penn and Teller. So Matt, just kind of go for it, and he's got a lot of energy. So I may be interrupting him with questions, or if you have a question, raise a hand, or, for those of you watching on Facebook, if you want to shoot a question as well. But take it away. Show us the pirate life and how to survive pirate life in the desert.
So before we start, I'm going to let you know that now that I live in a totally different place than where I met Phil, coincidentally also named Salem, I've become a trucker, and I don't get to be me very often. There's just no place to do it here, and nobody would ever get it at all. You can't work. So a lot of what I've pulled out is stuff that's pulled out of the attic as opposed to out of my costume closet. I've also got a lot of variety. I'm really glad we had Diana here because I may expand on some of what she put on. I may actually give explanations how you might come up with your own versions of it. I'm glad she put it on because otherwise I would not have any way to show that, as I have no female models. Now, so that's kind of awesome. I love it when things work together. So to start off, I have a lot of costuming, too much to show in a 30-minute video. So we're not going to try and show it all. We would be here forever. Let's get my camera working if I can. All right. So I have, if I can get enough cord here, may just disconnect from the backup battery. Pulled out a number of things. Some of them are the simplest of things. As a goth pirate, you have to consider what kind of pirate are you. Now, I'm not a female Asian pirate, but a base is where it's at. And this is a female Asian base shirt, over which one could put any number of fantastic things to create a pirate persona, many of which you'll see coming up very soon. This is basic. This is where it all begins. What do you want to be? Maybe you want to be a geisha. Believe it or not, there's a place for pirates in geisha. Maybe you want to be the classic pirate, or you want to wear a land pirate helmet and be one of those diesel punk pirates. You got to have your lights. If you don't have your lights, you can't see, especially if you want to be a good solid pirate. You're probably looking at the nightlife, so you're going to want a light. That's for you to see. And a light, this is L-wire. You lace it into your clothing so they can see you. Critical, don't be a dark wad. Dark wads are dead.
Yeah. So we're talking Burning Man terminology here. A dark wad being a person who's going out at night and the cars are gonna
Which the flat
run them over. They're invisible. So yeah.
Now, this is pretty straightforward stuff. Just about everything you see here could probably be purchased online. I don't do that. I go to thrift stores. In fact, those of you who have Goodwill may also have something called a Goodwill outlet. They dump everything into troughs. You walk in there with a shopping cart and buy it by the pound. And I buy a lot of it. You pick out little bits and pieces. The trim off of a wicker basket. The edge of a ceiling fan. Saddlebag screws off of an old saddlebag for a motorcycle. The back of a leather couch. Things that are given to you end up in boxes until you can integrate them. Prayer bells I got at my first Burning Man. Little trinkets picked up at thrift stores and flea markets for pennies on the dollar. Even the helmet came from thrift stores. Goggles, $6 online, a little bit of trinket and screw, a little bit of glue, and voila. You have a pair of goggles. These I'm particularly fond of because the lenses look like they would affect your vision, and they don't. However, that is something to consider. These lenses right here are fantastic to look at and absolutely worthless in a dust storm because if you put those over your eyes, you see the world the same way a fruit fly does. It's all about what you want to be. The mask. Perhaps you like a little bit of Shakespeare. Well, I took and created my diesel punk Shakespeare Oberon helmet. Alas, what fools these mortals be. And you've all seen the hat that I've been wearing on top of my head, which is something I'm well known for, which is this guy right here. And everything on this is designed to be playa ready, even though it's leather. Leather and the playa go together like, I don't know, battery acid and paper. They don't go together. The playa dust wants to dissolve everything. It corrodes it, it eats it, it makes it fall apart, and it really concentrates on cut edges and holes. As such that had I showed you, everything on it is held on with magnets. I don't poke holes in my stuff too often. And because of that, I still have it. When I go through a costume, I look at the idea of what I need, and it's usually based upon what the person needs, and I have a lot to choose from myself. Let's say you want to be a leather-clad motorcycle crazy pirate. Well, you find a bunch of cheap stuff that's made of leather, and I emphasize cheap. And how cheap? Why, used. The average person would want to buy something brand new, sparkly, untouched, no damage, no holes. They don't want all these little pieces that are all peeling, and then they go to Burning Man and find out that that's exactly what they end up with halfway through the festival. So my advice, don't look for pristine and brand new. Look for lived in. Look for alive. Look for something that's seen the wear and tear, because that's what you're going to get by the end of the festival anyways. The second thing is, if it's already lived in, wear and tear, it's probably cheap, and you probably won't cry as much when inevitably the playa dust claims about half of your garb. And it will. Oh, I wore $250 goth boots to my first burn. Oh, I love those boots. I couldn't wait to have them on the playa, and I wore them on the playa. And they were never the same. To this very day, I'm still scraping playa dust out of them. I keep stitching all the little buckles back on. It's something else. The next thing you got to consider, as a pirate, you could wear boots like mine. You better be ready to sacrifice them to the void, because that's exactly what Burning Man will do. And you better be ready for the fact that you are going to spend more time on your feet than a marathon runner, and put some of these in there. My first Burning Man, I had silver dollar-sized blisters on my feet. My advice, if you're going to do a lot of walking, don't be afraid to grab a pair of these. I guarantee you half the people out there are wearing that or nothing, just barefoot, or even less than that. This right here, this is actually a really good shoe. You find Uggs and Renaissance boots all over the place. The thing is, this boot has a solid sole on it. When you spend all day long, every day for a week, walking the length of the perimeter, back and forth, to and fro, Burning Man, you will rip the bottom completely free of the shoe and end up having to go to your fallbacks, which are usually a pair of these. I recommend bringing several pairs of shoes. I recommend something that's got a good solid sole, and I recommend something with an insole. I recommend no less than 2 foot garments, and that's if you know they're not going to die. One for the day and one for the night. But that goes with everything. If you want to be a space pirate, find yourself the garment of a space pirate. And remember, your base should be light. It should breathe. If you overheat, you're going to not look like what you want to look like as you start dropping layers of costume as fast as you can. This is something I like to wear. Pirate. This outfit at 1:45 in the afternoon in the blazing heat of Burning Man pretty much renders me incapable of leaving shade. So, what is the solution? I don't wear this. And if I do, everything opens up, rolls up into shorts. I don't look like the pirate anymore. The mask that you wear. Everybody knows these masks. If you've ever painted a house, a car, sanded, you probably have one of these laying around in your garage. When you go to Burning Man, I guarantee you, you don't need this. Take it out. Throw it away. And you're left with this gaping hole. And like any good pirate, you will engineer the solution. You'll take a piece of fabric, probably cotton. You'll lay it over that hole, and then you will take a rubber band or hair tie and place it right here. This allows air to pass through, but catches the playa dust. You'll take this. Maybe you'll put fabric or leather. By the way, this rubber stuff really takes super glue well. Make it look dark. Make it look gothic. Make it look steampunk. Add some brass or copper. Put bells on it, spikes, cogs, whatever you really like. That will make you a step ahead if you want to wear one of these giant, by the way, very, very warm masks. Because you'll have a custom mask that all these people are going online and ordering their fancy schmancy mask that looks better than anything that they thought they could ever see. Yours will actually give you some protection, and yours will actually breathe because you took the filters out.
So, Matt.
Yes.
You're the kind of person that you go out when you're at Burning Man. You go out during the day, the heat of the day, and then sometimes you just kind of get lost within the environment and don't come back till late.
That is very correct.
So, you know, in New England, we called it layering, right? Where you could take things off, put things on if the weather changed in a moment, like it does. What do you do for that? How do you handle a day and a night out?
Do you see this right here? This is a big one. This one here has enough room for me to bring a complete costume. I recommend dressing it up, maybe putting some L-wire here, maybe making it look a little bit more like something you'd see in a post-apocalyptic movie. Think about what they'd carry. Put it on there, roll it in, whatever. Put your costume in here, put your snacks in this smaller pouch, and this particular one has a pouch on top. What would I put in it? Well, me personally, I like to carry one of those camel pack sets that has the drinking tube in it, and a 2-liter bottle of water. The camel pack can hold the ice. Believe it or not, the camel pack was where the really cold water comes from. And the 2-liter bottle is just water being kept cold by the camel pack. You can switch it around if you want, but it's easier to get the ice in the camel pack. That's why. So I've got food in here. I've got water in here. I have my boots, or if I've switched my flip-flops in here. I probably have gone out wearing leather pants that lace up the sides, and with good reason. I unlace it, pull the strip out of the side of the pants to whatever makes me comfortable, and put extra lacing in so I can open up the leather pants and let air in. I can roll them up just past the knee, and okay, it's leather shorts, and most of the time you wouldn't wear that. This is Burning Man, and what you wear at Burning Man is very different than what you wear elsewhere. Nobody bats an eye. Also,
well, that's only true for you now. When you were still living in Salem, Mass, you dressed the same.
Yeah, that's the truth, but most people aren't like that. The other thing I did was I took some canvas and a mannequin for form, and I sewed together this little cape. Comes just over my shoulders, button shut in the front, huge hood that can accommodate both my head and my hat. It's white, and believe it or not, it's not terribly overheating. This hood is huge and protects me from the sun. I recommend anything that you can carry to give you some kind of shelter that you can carry with you in the hottest part of the day. You will see a great many people carrying umbrellas. You know, umbrellas work. I mean, they really do, but not everybody wants to have their hands occupied all the time.
Right.
I know I don't.
So this stuff isn't, you know, not just applicable to Burning Man, I don't think. The last 2 Glastonbury festivals were pretty dusty, weren't they, Diana?
Yeah, but I don't think they were like this.
Not like Burning Man dust, but
I could still wear black. all day, every day. I certainly don't think they were the hot that Matt's describing. I think often Glastonbury, the biggest problem is the mud rather than the
Right. I have yet to experience the mud.
Oh, I know. I tell you what, you haven't really been to Glastonbury till you've really seen the mud.
I know. I saw a little bit of it, and when I stuck my foot in it to test it, I was like, "Oh my!" So,
It's when you
but,
just see people walking around in bare feet because actually their wellies are stuck, like they're right up deep in
right.
mud, and they've
They
just
left
walked
them
out.
somewhere.
Yeah.
They didn't know the twist and lift trick, right? Yeah. So Matt, water. Go back to water. Water when you're traveling around the playa, and how much we need it.
Well, the short and short of it is simple. How long do you intend to be out? And do you know where to find water besides your campsite? I would absolutely stress on you that you need to consume at least a gallon of water every day. So if you don't plan on stopping anywhere and you don't know where to get it, you're looking at carrying a gallon of water. Maybe more if you're really active.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why I'm like a 2-liter bottle and a jam-packed full water bladder with a tube on it.
Yeah.
That's over a gallon.
Yeah. So I remember when you and I were, when we were out building the Pillars of the Saints, and we were building during the day, we were building during the night, and it was brutally hot that particular year on those days that we were building. So Hope was out there telling us drink, and we easily consumed a gallon each, if not more, during that time every day. And the remarkable thing was, we didn't have to go to the bathroom.
Not
we
once.
Sweat that gallon.
Which also brings up another thing about costuming, and I don't often hear anyone bring it up, so here's my knowledge. You're not going to find a washing machine. So obviously we're not washing our clothes out there. Oddly enough, you really don't have to. You expect sweating in an outfit all day will make you stink. It's the moisture that makes your clothes stink. And in Black Rock City, there's no moisture. Your clothing doesn't stay wet long enough to stink.
True.
Second thing I'm going to say is that goes for what you're wearing. If you can take it, just don't overheat. Pay attention to your body. Your body will tell you. If you can take it and you're not out, I wouldn't do this at the hottest part of the day, but if you can take it and you're one of those people like me who goes out and wears way more than you should, just make sure you drink more water. Don't dehydrate. Don't worry about sweating in your outfit. Don't. I'm serious. You won't smell. I was shocked with it. About the biggest thing I wanted to shower for was to get playa dust out of my crevices. I really wanted that.
Yeah. And then out of the hair.
Oh my God.
What's the most difficult part to clean?
Your hair.
All of it?
Your hair is the most difficult thing to clean because that actually requires running water. You can use wet wipes to clean yourself between using shower passes.
There
are showers out.
Yeah. My first year, I carried a little thing of biodegradable shampoo with me, and I chased the water truck. Got my hair completely wet.
Yeah.
Anybody done that? Chase the water truck?
I'm not
just to get wet. Come on now.
I'm not going to admit to having done that.
Okay.
I never tell you that I did do that.
Yeah. It's kind of like, as Kevmo, part of the. As he would say about some of this stuff, moops. Not the greatest idea, but boy, when that water truck came by, because we knew one of the people who knew exactly where the water came from, and it actually was drinking. It was drinkable. It was potable water. One of the guys who lives near there, he said, "You can drink this stuff. It's clean." And he's one of the Native Americans, Bear. told us that, and I was like, cool. I can wash my
never
hair in
could.
this. So running
washed
after
my
the
hair
water
and I
truck is
never
kind of
drank.
like a tradition for a lot of people.
Here's
It's too
the
hot.
How often
Here's
do you find people who
wipes.
don't prepare for water out there in the desert?
More often than you'd think.
Oh my.
We
Right.
get that apply info a lot. People have not, they haven't brought food, they haven't brought water, they've been bumming off of other camps. People are had enough of them. They come down to apply info and said, "What should we do?" And he says, "Basically, take the bus to Reno and go home."
Oh man.
You haven't
If
you haven't
you-
read, didn't you? You didn't read the survival guide. You didn't. You don't understand. Your ticket says you could die here on the back, and you. We can't help you.
Right.
We have a saying,
People
manage your shit.
a lot of those people do get adopted by other camps, but at that point in time, the person who's adopting them, they're not just contributing to their survival. They've almost claimed the responsibility to educate this person so that they can survive on their own.
Yeah.
Of the few that I've watched do it, only a handful took it to heart and actually contributed to the camp that took them in.
Wow.
Yeah.
The ones that did, I'm sure that the following year they were prepared and did learn what they needed to.
Yeah, we get people who just sponge off a camp so much that they said, look, first of all, get out of my chair. Second of all, stop drinking my beer and go. And that's just it. So they come down to us and we're going, you didn't bring any food, you didn't bring any water. It's a week. And you're on day 2 and you're done. So yeah, Fly Express, Reno. Sorry. Yeah, and this is the by this way, this is the adult wipes. You can get these off of Amazon. Really, really good price.
How large are those?
Big. They're designed for adults. So they're
This
about
big, aren't they?
So
they're about well,
yeah, I've seen those. So there's some that if you go to a hospital supply store, they have some that are like 30 inches by 30 inch. I mean, it's like a towel that you would have when you get out of the shower.
Yeah.
Those are fantastic.
12 by 8.
Friends, nodding
okay.
her head. You've gotten those?
They're
Greg?
okay for light dishwashing too.
Yeah.
12 by 8, and they're and I even use them when
Oh, that's good.
are between things. Yeah, this is great. So I always carry them in here. They, as long as when it's sealed, they last quite a while. But these have been here for a while. So
Right.
but yeah, very, very useful.
Is anyone able to keep ice out there?
If you have the means to keep it cold, and there are ways to get it.
Yeah.
In fact, if you run out of water due to a mishap like a ruptured container, sometimes buying a bag of ice will be just enough to keep one person going.
Ice is one of the only things, one of the few things you can buy at Burning Man. They have locations where you purchase the ice.
All
It's a
over
matter
the
of-
place.
Yeah.
The Arctic.
Center camp, and then also there's they're now at some of the 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock
They're near the major.
and 9. Yeah.
If
So
you need
a little bit more about producing your own custom costumes. I would like to show you some of the things that I have done and explain why I think it's relevant. Again, a lot of people, they go out and they spend exorbitant amounts of money on their costumes. They come with 2 costumes, halfway through they're falling apart. We have here a set of bracers. Mind you, this is supposed to go over a finger, which the mannequin does not have. This is actually a pair of sandals that I bought at Goodwill. It's synthetic. I was able to wash it, and all I did was cut the foot off of it and rearrange the buckles.
Those fancy gladiator sandals, right?
If you look at the boots I'm wearing now, there's all kinds of stuff. The straps
Oh, I
off of
can't
my
see it. Hang on.
the straps
Hold on.
off of my old jack boots. This is another pair of gladiator sandals that I put over them to make them form fit. I don't know that they were ever meant to be flapped over like a pirate boot. I think they were meant to be worn like so. And all I did was say, wow, this looks good together. And I didn't even stitch it. I just throw it over the top. a good engineer looks at something and says, that looks like X. They buy it super cheap and it becomes whatever it was they said it looked like. That is how you make a costume happen. Everything from fairy wings.
So how would you fairy something up?
Okay.
Let's fairy that one up.
That right there?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, the fairy is probably the person to talk to, but let's go ahead because I know that's what you're thinking.
Yeah.
So
This is all about me, guys.
I would start with me personally. I don't think I would fairy this up. I would sooner fairy up the kimono, but this right here. So we've clearly got an Asian thing going on with this. So you might actually continue on that theme.
Okay.
The makeup, how you go ahead.
Tutu. It needs a tutu.
A tutu.
Yeah.
A tutu is an option. Not everybody's going to work well with a tutu. If you can, go with a tutu. If you can't, and there are those who are not going to wear a tutu, I have on this very rack a variety of options. Everything from pouch vests where you can stick your various batteries for your gadgets to long flowing green skirts. Now, the skirt by itself is not very fairy, but if you take a bunch of tattered, beautiful fabrics, not ugly fabrics, in triangles running all over the place, and you mix it with things like this, preferably not made of wool like this one, you can create a very woodland look. And since you're Asian, you do the Asian makeup, you maybe do your hair back, or you wear, yeah, it's not gonna let go. Or maybe you put this on top of your head. A hat is a good one. This is actually not a bad hat because it breathes. It offers a little bit of shade.
This thing goes around your face.
So the wind doesn't carry it off down the playa to later be claimed by the trash fence.
That green scarf that's on the model to your right, that one would work quite well as well.
Yes, it would. In fact, it was one of the things I was considering. The other thing is to decide whether you want to wear that open or closed. For that, we've got a variety of little bodices and corsets. They're both perfectly applicable. They're worn different. If you don't want to, well, I don't have them, but if you don't want to squish the girls, you might want to go with a bodice. Or maybe you want to lift up the girls and you need somebody who's willing to shove their knee in your back and pull, or lift you off the ground by lacing. More like this. This particular one no longer has lacing, as it's one of the ones that I usually allow others to wear. I'll tell you right now, Diana said it best. She usually wears a corset. There is good reason for that. It totally changes the attitude of a costume, the way fabric hangs on it, under it, and around it.
Shape is everything.
She was absolutely correct when she said, I'd normally wear a corset. Now, I'm not going to model a corset for you, for which I do apologize. I don't have a model right now. And my mannequins just don't do well in these corsets.
I mean,
except
if we
this
had
one over
lacing,
here.
I could put you in it.
No, we're not doing that. Now,
Come on, that's worth something here.
you're looking at this and you're going, what does this brown bowler have to do with a fairy? And the answer is, what is the gender of your fairy?
The gentleman.
No.
Here is an example of the hat of a male fairy.
A girl could wear that too, though.
A girl could, but so could a guy. And for those straight males who are terrified of being a fairy, the moment your woman is a fairy and you're a fairy with her, there are going to be people walking by going, that is the coolest thing I have ever seen, and I very rarely see it happen.
Plus, there's benefits. You're being a fairy for your lady.
And if you're straight, all the ladies will follow you. If you're gay, all the guys will follow you. Really, just kind of everybody follows you. I've seen a lot of that too.
Okay, let's talk about glitter.
No glitter.
Yes,
Glitter
yes,
makes
yes.
Moop on fly.
Yeah, not at Burning Man.
Good.
Fairy dust.
Glitter makes Moop Glitter makes moop on the playa. Moop is matter out of place. Ergo, litter, it's not okay. But
Biodegradable glitter.
no, we don't even leave.
Glitter. What?
There is an answer. There is an answer.
I didn't realize I was getting into such trivial.
Object you wear can have laced in silver or multicolored metallic strips.
We can't see it. Make
That-
it shine.
That
Okay, there we
allows
go.
it to have the illusion of being glitter without having a speck of glitter on it. So it doesn't shed tiny particles all over the playa, but has all of the beauty.
Biodegradable glitter.
They actually
What
they
about
frown
body
upon
glitter?
If it doesn't,
That's gonna get stuck to you, and it'll just your skin will absorb it.
if it can come off of you onto the playa, I don't recommend
But it can't.
I would do experiment. Absolutely.
Ren is shaking her
You heard
head
it here.
here.
We're gonna experiment.
You're muted, Ren. Unmute yourself here.
I say the
Uh-oh.
glitter isn't going to stick to you for 10 days till you can get home and shower. It doesn't
That's
come to
right,
the playa.
right. Yeah, yeah. And and
Okay.
one of the things about the playa is that we're trying to even make sure we don't, even if it's biodegradable, we really don't want to leave behind on that pristine desert floor chemicals of any kind that are different than
Right.
the environment. So
I got
it
you.
really is supposed to be, take out everything you bring in, leave no trace.
There's a reason for
And
I
even
think-
biodegradable things can leave a trace.
I think
If you
because
look-
obviously in the UK, the thing about biodegradable glitter is glitter is plastic normally,
Right.
and the biodegradable, so it doesn't break down and it ends in the sea. But the biodegradable glitter breaks down with water, so it isn't. But if you're
Right.
on the playa and you haven't got water, then obviously that's going to be a bit different. So, but festivals in the UK, that's not really a problem.
Yeah.
Most of them get rained out. at
Lack
some
of
point.
water is not a difficulty.
The thing to remember about Burning Man is what you're doing is literally walking around on a dry lake bed that has been dry for thousands of years, and underneath it is whole trees, fish, animals, an entire ecosystem which is trapped in stasis, no longer alive, obviously, but as far as its value to society, it's something we as burners have a responsibility to not damage or chemically alter in any way. That's why we don't even dump large quantities of water in a single place and keep it at the surface spread over a wide area. That's why we don't dig holes. It's why there's crushed granite on the ground, because when we disturb this, we literally disturb the privilege of Burning Man being there.
Right. Yeah. So even the art
Glitter.
projects, when you burn them, you've got a it used to be 6 to 8 inch base of decomposed granite that was underneath each art project. They've since made it less, realizing I think they didn't need quite that much. But yeah,
good.
before we could build the art project, they'd dump off a huge mountain of decomposed granite and then create a base to build on top of. And then that gets pulled up later. So yeah, they're very careful.
it's
Jody
gonna-
Ainsworth says hello to you, Matt.
Hi, Judy.
Jody from Salem, you know?
Jody. Oh, hi, Jody.
She
So
says
we're
long
going
time no see.
Absolutely. So we're going to seek shelter as that heat that I said would eventually come here has finally arrived. It is like, in all this leather, it feels like it's over 100 degrees.
And I got a question. What's your opinion, the difference between pleather, vinyl pleather, and real leather out on the playa?
Well, again, this is all a matter of personal decision. I believe in the use of leather. I also believe that it is an abused commodity in the world today. I am a meat eater. As such, I have no problems with animal products, but I also believe that most of the meats we eat, they throw the leather away. Most of the time you buy leather, they throw the meat away. It's wasteful. Pretty much everything leather I have except my pants, which are over 20 years old, is recycled. I work with recycled materials. I buy things from the Goodwill outlet, and this is their last stop before the dump. I go and find furniture that's on its way to the dump and strip leather off of it for my raw materials. I believe in use until it can't be used anymore.
Durability, is leather better?
I work with fire.
Leather doesn't biodegrade because of the way that it's been treated. If you look at, that's why they've still got things like Roman sandals and stuff like that left over that are leather, because it just doesn't degrade, whereas pleather will eventually, it will perish.
But the biodegrading process is absorbently long and complex. She's right. We can find leather that's 10,000 years old in places. Now, why do I think leather's better? I work with fire. Pleather and fire don't work well together. I'm a fire spinner. I'm an ex-circus performer. I need something that will protect me. So if nothing else, there is an answer. Now, reasons for pleather. Out in the street, in day-to-day life, this isn't so good, but at Burning Man, it's great. When it ages, there's this black coating that's over it. It starts to crack and peel. And once again, you get that lived in and organic look that I actually love at Burning Man. I have things that are pleather. I have things that are leather. Leather's durability means if you want to keep using one piece instead of contributing over and over and over again all the synthetic components to pleather, if you actually take care of your few pieces that you have, I don't see it as being a bad thing. If you're buying leather and then throwing it away and buying another piece next year and throwing it away, I wouldn't do it. When I make something out of leather, it stays in I may die owning most of this stuff.
Do you find one is warmer than the other one? So when it gets really hot out there, would you prefer leather?
As far as the temperature goes, pleather versus leather, when it comes to sunlight, they don't feel any different. Pleather doesn't do well as far as surviving a lot of heat. Will cause it to peel because the glue will warm up. It also isn't as waterproof as well-oiled leather. So it doesn't offer you much elemental protection. Out in the desert, that doesn't matter so much. It does well with fire. If you have a heavy-duty grade leather, the embers bounce off instead of sticking to and melting. So
But you don't notice the temperature.
I work a lot with fire, so I really do need something that doesn't melt.
But it doesn't impact how hot you feel in the heat of the day.
No. If you want a lighter leather garment, you buy a lighter leather. If you want a lighter pleather garment, you buy a lighter pleather. They both exist, and they have, as far as I felt, a pretty comparable reaction to sunlight.
Okay, another question. There are some people who will choose to go with, let's call it a minimalist costume. What would you suggest that they do in order to protect themselves? Should they be covering themselves in mud?
Well, if you are the kind of person that believes that clothing optional is a wonderful thing at Burning Man, the very, 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 very first thing I'm going to say to you is bring sunblock. If you don't bring anything else, if you're one of those people that walks from camp to camp borrowing food and water, please don't leave sunblock, because instead of going to camp, you could be going to the medical facilities. They have a whole hospital there, and they see a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
Should they?
Absolutely.
No, there really isn't mud per se. There's a lot of playa dust that doesn't give you a whole lot of protection. Carrying a lace umbrella, I hate having my hands constantly occupied. I wouldn't do it, but it will offer you some protection. Light fabrics like the fairy fabrics that Diana was pointing out, the green fabric on the mannequin, they can be used to reduce the amount of sunlight. They don't stop you from burning. Again, I'm going to double right back and say get a good sunblock and use it. If you don't use it,
As high as you can get?
I get SPF 50, but there are people who argue that that doesn't really protect. So
Like 75 or 100?
higher is better. And again, the other thing you got to remember as a minimalist, you should still, if nothing else, carry a pretty decent amount of water with you. There's a lot of
Suggest a good hat?
that would help. A wide brim hat might prevent sunburn on the upper portion of you, especially around noon when the sun is bearing down on you like a fireball in the sky.
Right.
Okay, I got another question, and this is just basically for everyone. Why do you roll in the dust as soon as you get there?
Oh, okay.
To get
I've
it
got a
over
great
with.
story
Get
about
over
that
with
one
the
too.
idea of being clean.
All right. Well, the first thing you got to know is from the moment you get to that desert to the moment you leave, you will be with the dust. Are you in your tent? You think you're safe? You're with the dust. It adheres to you and everything you own, a fine layer. It accumulates in wrinkles and seams. It's in your hair. It's in your eyelashes. You're never free of it until you leave.
What about your ears?
You don't notice it, but I'm sure it's in there. Positive. So the point is, when you roll in the dust, you are becoming acclimated to being dusty. Get it over with so that right at the beginning, you go through the shock of, oh God, I'm dirty, I'm covered in this dust, and then forget about it. So it doesn't slowly accumulate on you while you slowly go, oh, I've got dust on me, but it's just a little bit. And you think, oh my God, I'm dusty. And then a little more, and you go, oh God, it's worse. Oh God, it's just roll in the dust. Get it over with all at once so you're not bothered throughout the festival.
Like a bird taking a dust bath, just 100%.
Roll around, make angels, throw it all over yourself, dance in it, do last rites over your body, whatever it is you're going to do. Get it over.
Yeah. So the whole dust thing is really an initiation rite. Coming into Burning Man, the idea is the person coming for the first time. The virgin burner arrives, and they don't force it. In fact, the first camp I went to, none of the people had rolled in the dust, and they seemed to be kind of afraid of it. And when I went, my attitude was like, no, I have to become part of this whole thing, and how do I skip the initiation rite? They're not asking me to do something that's against my personal ethics and moral code of any kind. So, what's rolling in the dust? It's a little problematic. So, you get dirty and that's it. No big deal. But now you've identified. So I thought, got out of the car and somebody said, you're going to roll in the dust. And I'm like, well, how can I not? So I got out and Matt was kind of similar when he came, but I got out there and I thought, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it my way. I'm from California. I grew up near beaches, right? And surfed and all that kind of stuff. I was a competitive swimmer. So I jumped on my belly and I started acting like I was paddling the dust. And pretty soon people are laughing, and some of the greeters, they're running around to watch what's going on. And I jump up on my feet and I take the dust and I throw it over my back and I say, I'm getting tubed. And then I say, wipe out. And I jump and I do a roll. And of course, I got all this hair. So I was doing my best to keep this hair out of the dust. And I did a really good job. Threw the stuff over my back, paddled, kept my hair out of it. Then when I jumped and rolled, it kind of did my shoulder, and I kept my hair out of the dust. And as soon as I was done, one of the greeters walks up to me and she grabs a big handful of playa dust and holds it over my head and goes, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. It's part of her greeting. And I'm looking at her eyes going, thanks a lot, but I can kill you right now. Because I knew I wasn't going to get that hair washed too easily. Well, I did, as I was saying earlier, I did get my hair washed by, my earbuds are falling out, by chasing the water truck that year. That was a that was a necessary element, a necessary thing to do. But yeah, so it's really an initiation rite. It's an identification with the festival, and it's for those first year burners. And Matt was great. I mean, he just went to town. He was like burying himself.
So my wife has asked a magic question. What
Yeah.
about dust storms?
Oh. What about dust storms? Who wants to share anybody got a dust storm story?
Shoot, 2012, that was one of the worst. Actually, the dust storms were pretty bad last year too. When you're in a whiteout, don't keep walking. At Theophany, I was approaching Theophany and I got in a complete whiteout.
Yeah.
So I see anything around me, although you can see sky above you, but you can't see anything in front of you. I decided to keep walking because it's right in front of me. I'm going to be there in no time. So I just kept walking into the white. And when the thing finally lifted, I had passed Theophany on the left and was heading toward the man. Yeah. Also,
I've been in some whiteouts that were so bad. If you were to hold your arm at arm's length, you couldn't see your hand.
Yeah, me too.
If you're on one of the esplanades, find one of the light towers, one of the lamp towers, and just stay there, because there are art cars and there are people on bicycles who keep riding even though they can't see where they're going.
Right. And that's what they tell you to do. The art cars should all stop. Everybody just stops.
Yep.
You wait till you can see again and then go, so you don't get hurt, lost, whatever.
I can remember a dust storm, and one of the other things you got to remember is that they recommend wearing some kind of a mask. Now, it can be as simple as a bandana. I'm fond of wearing the full face masks when it's cool. I keep a bandana on me because you can't always get away with that mask. It's hot out there during the day.
Right.
And I thought to myself, this isn't so bad. I didn't have my mask on. I'm okay. I can breathe. I'm not choking. So I put on the goggles. It's whiteout condition. I couldn't see my hand this far from my face. I was able to figure out where I was because there were materials on the ground that I could feel with my feet, to give you an idea of how the visibility was. So I was lucky. I was traveling in a known direction that I could predict. But I wasn't wearing my face mask because it didn't feel like it was affecting me. And after a while, I started to realize, it's like I got a lot of snot in my nose or something. Well, the dust storm cleared and I blew my nose and it came out about the consistency of school paste. And it wasn't snot. It was wet playa dust. It was in my mouth. It was in my nose. It was in my beard. It was everywhere. And then I spent the next 2 days with drying out wet wipes because I didn't have enough tissue, blowing my nose into these dried out wet wipes and looking and realizing it's straight up playa dust. It was like having paste shoved into your nostrils.
Playa dust has silica in it, and that can be a problem. You basically want to have a mask, pretty much like the kind of mask we wear for COVID-19. That would work if you keep washing it. I decided at the end of 2019 that I'm not coming to the playa without a mask, but a couple of tips on that. Number one, I see people with masks hanging around their necks all the time. That just basically coats the inside of your mask with playa dust. I have a bag that I wear, a drop leg bag that straps to the leg and to the waist, and I would keep it in there or in a Ziploc bag, and then pull it out and clean, and also keep it clean, because there's other situations noticed recently where it's not blowing dust, but there's a lot of dust. And if you're out in it all the time, like we are during setup, that's a problem. But one thing I noticed, since I go out there a week before everybody else does, sometimes when I get out there, the man isn't even up yet. And the thing about it is, we don't have a lot of dust then. When the gate opens, that's when the dust comes.
Right.
And it's because we're stirring it up everywhere. So
Right.
there are times when there's a lot of dust in the air. It's not blowing, but you really should be wearing a mask.
Sure. Yeah, and a number of camps are just downwind from where the traffic is coming for the people who are coming in. That's brutal, just brutal.
And
Diana, all
so-
of the things that we are going over with dust can be counteracted. The thing is, if you don't follow a few basic steps, that's where the horror stories come in.
Yeah.
I thought that the dust storms were going to be horrific. I thought it was going to be murder. And all I had to do was cover my face and I was fine. But that is why I say, if you love a piece so much that you would not sacrifice it, don't bring it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, we're
You
going
know-
to take. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, you were talking about the dust storms and stuff. And usually you can almost sometimes see it coming. So what I tend to do is try to find kind of a piece of art and kind of tuck myself behind it and turn my back into the wind and just kind of tuck my face. Yes, wear my mask and stuff, but as long as you're not looking into the wind, and if you can find a piece of art that you can tuck behind, you can just wait it out. And
Yeah.
Now,
that's
here's the good news.
usually shelter and a little protection.
Now, fear of a dust storm isn't necessarily something that you should have. Within the first two, it starts being like staying out of the rain. It really does. You quickly adapt to it, quicker than I thought I would. But I got a question. Who's been to Burning Man with an asthmatic? Anyone?
I don't know.
I've met them there.
My wife has concerns that playa dust might aggravate asthma. And I don't know that I've ever addressed it. I'm
Yeah.
asthmatic
You know,
triggerable, and I didn't have that trouble.
If I were you guys, talk to Kevmo. He would know. People who've gone through that kind of stuff. I know I've met people with asthma who are there. But yeah, that's a good question. Well, we're a little past 2 o'clock California time, and what is it? 10? A little after 10 your time, Diana, in the UK. Yeah. So
Been a long day.
the fairy goth is doing this at night.
Diana?
So yeah, we're gonna call this now. So this has been thinkers, tinkers, and stinkers, and this has been the Tinker session with Diana the Goth Vicar from Glastonbury, and Moon Bunny and his tiny trailer, and Matt the Pirate coming from Salem, Oregon. You guys have been awesome all the way around. This has been great. Rand and Bliss, thanks for being a part of this. And Jim's toasting us right now. Man, I need to.
Everybody
I didn't even
friend
think
me
of
on
that.
Facebook, especially you. I would definitely like to talk with you about costuming, Diana.
Oh, yeah, sure. Sure, no worries.
Yeah.
It looks like you've
Okay.
already, like me, faced certain things. I have a feeling our costuming ideas can mesh. All right.
So I am going to put this up on YouTube, so it'll be found there, and it will be on Facebook as well, because we've been doing this live on Facebook, and so Moon Bunny, how can we connect with you?
You can connect with me. The email is jim@moonbunny.me, and the Tiny Trailers and Campers site is kind of the home of this little.
And that's on Facebook, right?
That's on Facebook.
Right. So we can find Jim Hogue. Are you Moon Bunny on Facebook or just Jim Hogue?
Just Jim Hogue on Facebook, but personal connections, I made up this new moonbunny.me. So jim@moonbunny.me.
And Matt is Matthew Bender on Facebook.
I believe you can also find me under Ryal Enoch.
Yep, you can see it there in this little.
If friending me, message me who you are and where you're coming from, because I've been avoiding all the fake profiles lately.
Fake book, okay. And Diana.
Diana Dingles-Greenfield on Facebook.
Okay, yeah.
Where to find me.
So yeah, I'm Phil Wyman, and yeah, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube as well. I'd love to connect with you, Ren, as well, and Bliss. So say hello to me there. Hey, thank you, everybody. This has been awesome.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Peace out.
Definitely been